Ew. Hi guys, it's Wonderful Facts. It's over. It's the takeover. Wonderful Facts, baby.
Sit down.
Huh?
What are you doing?
Oh, I'm just nothing.
I thought we were recording together.
Yeah, we can record together, baby. We can record together.
Oh my goodness. Welcome back to my channel.
Hey, welcome back to my channel. My name's Wonderful Facts.
And Alyssa.
You're watching.
Oh, okay, guys. This is Dawn. I'm Alyssa.
And I'm Sudan. And you are watching
Wonderful Acts. Glory is at preschool, but we're here and we are going to tell the story of how, well, actually, he's going to tell the story about how we met. I already told the story about how we met. You guys can go watch it. And I was rewatching it and I realized when I was telling the story that you were supposed to be in the video, but you weren't. You had to work.
Yeah, I was at work.
So now I feel like it's time for you to tell the people about how you met me, your woman of God.
Yeah, man, we're coming up on 5 years being married, and through the ups and downs that we've experienced, I'm like, did I even meet you? Did we even did I ask you to be with me? Did I propose? I bought a ring, dog.
You guys, y'all want your prayers to be answered. You might get this. You might get somebody like this. This one's mine, though.
Yeah.
But okay, and we're locking. We're a locked family now because you got your freeform locks happening. Yeah,
my hair is a representation of my experience in life in this season. 2 kids. And an aspiring YouTube wife.
Yes, and I'm locking too, y'all, if y'all are wondering. I don't know if I should keep going. So comment below. Give this video a big like if you're happy to see the family on the channel.
Okay, I'm ready. This is my debut? Not really,
This is your
kinda?
debut.
All right, where should
Make
we
sure
start?
you're looking in the lens, not
okay,
up
yeah,
yourself.
you gotta give me the tutorial.
All right,
Is my forehead looking sweaty?
No.
Let's see if I can get that jump.
Yeah, Dawn's looking.
She looking at Dawn?
She's like, is it? Okay, so.
Yeah.
How did we meet?
How did we meet?
Where were you in life when we met? Well, first tell them how we met, and then you could say where you were in life.
Okay, so how we met?
Yes.
We met in the library at Howard University. It was my first year of pharmacy school, and I guess it was your junior year of undergrad. I was meeting up with one of my classmates who I always used to study with. This guy was like a machine when it came to studying, and I liked that. So we had a routine going, but this particular day I was running late. So I shot him a text message like, hey, I'm running late. Just tell me where you're going to be in the library and I'll meet you up there. I was coming from a meeting, and he told me where to meet him, 2nd floor, 3rd table on the left, whatever. And as I'm walking up to the table, he's facing me, so I see him, but then I see like the back of Alyssa's hair, curly hair. It was like an orange kind of color at the time, like a brown, you remember?
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I know this guy is like so serious about studying, so who is this girl at the table? I thought he knew her. And when I got to the table, she was like, hi, I'm Alyssa. And I'm like, okay, what you doing at our study group? And so, yeah, we just had like kind of small talk conversation, like the typical, like where you're from, what year are you, And there were some similarities in that moment, which I was just like, oh, okay, this is cool. But I was just so focused on everything that was going on in my life. I was in my first year of pharmacy school, just overwhelmed. I felt super isolated from my friends and family, and then I felt like super duper like close to my classmates because it's like we're all going through the same thing, but they don't really know me that well. And then you have people that know me really well, family and friends, but they don't understand what I'm going through. So it was just like a very unique season of life. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, because we met in the library at Howard University, and you were like, "Who is she?" What were your first impression of me? What was your first impression of me?
I thought you were cute. I thought that you were attractive. I mean, I went to Howard, so, you know, that kind of is standard. And I mean, I wasn't saved at this time, so it was just like another cute Howard girl is in the library, but she just so happens to be at my table. You know what I mean? The table that I'm going to. And then I think from the conversation, I could tell you were like really warm and bubbly. Your personality definitely like kind of was shining through. I just like, there's something about this girl. She doesn't belong in the health sciences library.
I was in there to study people. That's why I was in there. And so when we first met, again, I was doing a year of no dating. You had a girlfriend, so we just became cool. And we would kick it every now and then. Yeah. Right? So then how did the transition happen?
What transition? What you talking about?
How did we go from just being cool, and again, like you said, you weren't saved at the time, so like tell the people like how did you journey from that position to us again coming together?
So yeah, man, school really like took its toll on me. It affected so many of my relationships, including the relationship that I was in.
Keep talking to the people. Coffee. Yeah.
Come on now. So yeah, school was just it was stressing me out, and I knew that I wasn't going to get through school without some assistance. Like I knew I needed some assistance, and you know, everyone had different things that they used to try to assist them to get through school, whether it was like celebrating after like midterms or coffee, whatever it might have been. But I knew that I needed like some type of divine intervention, and I knew that I wasn't like in close proximity to God. I grew up like going to church, and I knew like the rituals and traditions of church. But actually having a relationship with God and like pursuing that and pursuing God and learning about God and knowing about God, I didn't really know how to practically go about doing that. And so through the challenges of pharmacy school, it kind of like pushed me to get into that type of space. But I didn't realize it at that particular point in time, like that all of this was going to transpire with like us crossing paths, because that was one thing that I remember about you when I first met you is you were like very, very outspoken about your faith. And I was like, wow, like I considered myself to be Christian at that time. But I mean, if somebody put a gun to my head, I would have said I was Christian, but my lifestyle did not reflect it at all. But you know, it was clear to me that, you know, that Jesus was Lord of your life, that you were living for Christ, and that was like the most important thing to you at that particular point in time when I met you. And I can't lie, it made me kind of like check myself. It kind of like made me think like, man, if I consider myself to be Christian and so does she, what's the disconnect? But at that stage of life, I was just kind of like, that's good for you. You had invited me to your church, and I just was like, that's good for you.
Yeah, so then you started going to my church, though, later.
Yeah, so basically after my first year of school, it was so crazy. I ended that relationship, like officially, and I had just went through so much that first year.
Not because of me. I was not a home wrecker. You didn't end the relationship because of me.
No, it was completely different. I can tell the details. You guys want to know? Yeah, I bet you do. But anyways, yeah, like, so I made it through my first year of school by the grace of God. I knew it was God, but I just was like, man, I was torn up by everything that had transpired. That, you know, I'm originally from Virginia Beach, Virginia, and I had been in DC since I started school in undergrad, and I never had a desire to like go back home until this first year of school. And in me going back home, it allowed for me to like remove myself from everything that I had been exposed to and experienced over the past like 6 or 7 years at that particular point in time. And because of that, I was able to kind of have a moment to reset. And in that time, I was able to just like grow my relationship with God in so many different ways. Started reading the Bible for myself, getting an understanding of who Jesus is, what the Bible says about Jesus, as opposed to what somebody's telling me about Jesus, or what history says or doesn't say about Jesus. And I really started having this like moment where I feel like God was drawing me to him. And there were a couple relationships that he placed in my life that played a integral part in that growth, in that spiritual maturation. And I think that summer, before I started my first year of school, I was waiting to get accepted, and I was praying to who I thought God was at that time. And my prayer was like, God, I just want like guidance, because I felt like my life was so misguided at that particular point. I was going so many different ways, and I needed guidance. And so in that guidance, it kind of was me getting into school. That was kind of like God showing me that he was real, and that he was present in my life, and that he was calling me. And then the next step was that following summer, when a year later, you know, I had met her. She told me about the church. I was like, no, I'm good. But now, after everything that transpired, I'm like, man, I actually do need God, and I want to know who God is. Yeah, so basically,
Hold up, wait. That's not going to be on the camera.
Oh my goodness, this is real, dog. So anyways, yeah, I do with relationships. Like, God was putting people in my life, and I was reading things that were directly instrumental in me growing in my relationship with God. And because of that, I knew that when I returned back to DC for my second year of school, that I was going to have to get connected into like a community, into a family of believers that were going to help to guide me. And so I didn't know where to go to church. At that point, I was kind of going to chapel on campus when they would, you know, have Sunday, but it ended up being the church that Alyssa had invited me to a year before, that I said, yo, I'm gonna check it out. And the unique thing about it was in a movie theater.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, it stuck out, because I'm like, she said she went to a church in a movie theater in downtown Chinatown. I'm like, all right, let me go check out this church.
This church, allegedly. So when you first met me, were you like, she's the one?
Absolutely. No, I didn't think that.
So
No.
so how did we transition from you going to my church in the movie theater,
Mm-hmm.
us being friends?
Yeah.
Where did that, because we were cool for like
Correct.
4 years.
Yeah, we were. So basically, every so often we would just connect, and it always felt like we picked up where we left off. And it wasn't really like a big deal to me to like hang out with you. It was just like whenever we would hang out, and that was that. I think what shifted was, as I started growing, I started like leading and serving in the church, and I was starting to get around like men that were like a little bit further along in their walk than I was. And because of that, you know, you start having these conversations about the importance of marriage, and you start having the conversations about like purity and pursuing, you know, women and what that looks like biblically. And so that's really kind of like what started it for me, was like, I knew that from that previous relationship and the way things happened, I wanted to make sure that however I move forward from that, that it was in a way that was going to be pleasing to God. And so with that in mind, it was just like all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but there was a couple instances that we had where there were some conversations that took place where I was like, man, this is like kind of interesting to me. And I wanted to like get some clarity on those things.
What do you mean by interesting?
Like, for example, one time after church on Sunday, I was talking to this guy who was like clearly like just coming to the church. He kind of had some stuff going on in his personal life that he shared with me, and I was getting ready to go link up with him and just have lunch so we could talk more about it. And after church, you saw me talking to him, and you came up to us, and you were kind of like, you know, introducing yourself to the guy. Oh, what's up, Dawn?
Oh,
What's wrong?
she's teething, y'all. Yeah. You're okay.
Hmm.
Go ahead.
So, yeah, basically you walked up, and it was kind of like, you know, what's going on? And you said to me, like, you're the other hand. You're like another hand.
She wants you.
Come here. I have that effect on the ladies. But now, you were basically like, you're like a hand. You're a hand. And I didn't know exactly what you meant by that. Like, I understand that, you know, as believers, the body, you know, has eyes, ears, nose, throat, and hands and feet. And you explained it as, you know, like you like to reach towards people to draw them in. And I guess you were seeing that character in me as well, and just identifying that, like speaking to that in that moment. But I don't know why afterwards that never left me. Like that whole thing never left me, and I was like curious. So that was like one example of something. And I kind of was just like waiting for another time for us to be able to like get clarity on that, and it happened at another outing that we were at.
Yeah, he came up to me.
You remember that?
Yes, at our friend's birthday party. He comes up to me. He's like, yeah, so, remember you said that we were hands? And I was like, yeah, like hands in Christ, like we're reaching the lost. And he was like, well, did you mean like, you're a hand and I'm a hand, so our hands go together? And I was just like, no, that's not what I meant at all.
That was a good line, right? It's like, no.
I was like, that is not what I meant. That's not what
I was curious because it was on my mind. I was just like, man, and so at this point, that's what I'm saying. There was a shift that was happening because when I first met you, I was like, this young girl is in the serious, health sciences library. She's young, and I'm like, I'm in professional school. I done went through Howard undergrad. You like a little junior or whatever. But then now, like over the time that's transpired, it's like you've matured. You've entered into the workplace. Exactly, like you're turning into this thing, and it's like I remember you. You know what I mean? Like then, but now it's like, like who is this? Who is Alyssa turning into? Like who is she turned into? Like in the blink of an eye, seeming. You know what I mean? Like I know I've grown and matured, but I didn't really see that. I wasn't like always checking to see your growth, but at some point, I guess my eyes just were opened up to that in you. And now it's just like, I'm seeing you differently. And then like you made that comment now and I'm like talking to these guys and they're talking about marriage. And I know that for me, that's the next step relationally. Like I want to be in a relationship. I want to be married. I want to be in a godly relationship. You know what I mean? Yeah. I want to do relationship the way that God intended for a relationship to be done as it relates to me and whoever he has for me. And so that was essentially how the transition happened. Okay. I just started seeing you differently.
You started seeing me in a new light.
In a new light, yeah, for sure.
So what would you say to all of the fellas watching who are waiting to meet their wives? Because I got about 12% of my subscribers.
I thought you were going to say 12 guys.
No, 12% of my subscribers are male.
I thought you were going to say 12 guys, for real.
No, and so... what would you say to them?
What's the question? I mean, goodness, that's deep, man. I'm like, hold on.
Yeah, like what should they be doing in this season? That's a good, like leading up to meeting their wife. How could they be preparing to be in marriage?
Okay, yeah. For that, I would say try to like make sure that you have a strong relationship with other men who are going to help to guide you in whatever it is that you're trying to pursue. I would say focus on trying to have, what's the word? Just like consistency, stability in your relationship with God so that when he speaks to you, because there were moments when God was speaking to me about you, but I just know where I was at in that season of life. I was so in tune that it was like, man, I was able to take those kind of like promptings when they presented themselves, and you shared it in like your video about how I asked you to be with me. Like that was like where I was. Yeah. So like I had been praying for a moment.
Well, wait, we'll save that one.
Oh, okay. We're gonna
do another video about that. But this one we're gonna stop right here. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't want to see the next video, part 2, give this video a big thumbs up right now and comment below and subscribe so you don't miss it. But okay, so now for the ladies, what would you say to the ladies who are waiting to be found in the light?
Yeah. I would say like don't be deceived. You know what I mean? Like I think that is a issue that I see a lot of times is because women are brought up, especially, like outside of the church, but like in the church as believers, you kind of are brought up with this concept of like, this is an important thing. It comes to the point where you're kind of coveting it and you can be led astray, you know, just like kind of like Eve, you know what I'm saying? Like you just become led astray because it's something that you want. It's appealing to you. And so I would just say, just keep your eyes peeled and don't be deceived, like, because it's an opportunity for that to take place, you know?
Like you mean like men to deceive them?
Yeah,
like...
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, for men to like deceive you, to like lead you in a way that is not like the way that God intends for you to be led to go into that direction. You
and
know
they
what
don't
I mean?
need to lower their standards.
Nah, I don't think so.
You tell like that's a whole nother video too. I know, but I'm like, I feel like you could talk about that, about how women don't need to. I feel like a lot of women feel like they gotta, what's the word? Compromise their values in order to get a good guy.
Yeah, I would say no. I would say no to that. Don't do that.
Okay, y'all. Well, we gonna wrap it up here. But I'm thankful that you were able to join me on my channel. And we're going to do more of these. Again, if y'all want to see more, give this video a big thumbs up and like it. Subscribe. Comment below. Again, anything else you want to say? What about meeting me and how it was the best moment of your entire life?
You're even more beautiful than the first time I laid eyes on you.
Aww. Alrighty. See you next video. Bye.
Like California, oh my.